let's explore totality. Totality, to live totally, is to surrender to this moment. Realize that by doing anything totally, you have surrendered to this moment. Sometimes I speak of living totally as putting your heart into whatever you're doing. To put your heart into something is to do that thing totally, to be totally with it, and to be totally with the activity. You have surrendered to this moment, and you disappear in that activity. Who you think you are is no more in totality. In totality, there can't be a you and what you're doing. There's just simply what's happening. We experience this totality in our lives, and we point to it by calling it the flow state or being in the zone. But this is what I'm describing as totality. Because in those experiences of the flow state or being in the zone, there's totality. And if you look at those experiences, you see that actually who you think you are disappears. That anything that you put your heart into, you have totally embraced. And this total embrace for what is actually surrendering to what is. There's no difference. To embrace something totally is to surrender to it. And you see that you can't surrender to something and remain in resistance to it. To resist what is to fight what is. Surrender is to stop fighting. You stop fighting what is. And this is what surrender is. You see, when you put your heart into something, you aren't fighting. You're not in resistance to what is. So this totality this surrendering is really to give yourself to what is, to give yourself to this moment. To put your heart into something is quite literally an offering, that you're offering yourself to this moment. This is why we experience what we call the flow state, or being in the zone. Like the activity is happening through you. That you're being used. That in that moment you don't have a separate will. There's no sense of separation. And this is what we experience as losing ourselves in the activity. In living totally, there's no room for separation. It's total. To be total is to be complete, to be whole. There's seemingly only the sense of separation when there is resistance to what is. When there's resistance to what is, there's also the experience that there isn't the totality of the experience. Instead of fully living, we're partially living. It's this resistance to what is. I don't want this, and I want something else. That creates this sense of living partially. And this is why whatever is happening is so unfulfilling. But you see that whatever you throw yourself into, whatever you put your heart into, is so fulfilling. It's so fulfilling because you're experiencing your totality. You aren't trying to control what is. In trying to control what is, there's the experience of being separate from what is. There's a you that's trying to control what is. In surrendering that control, there's simply what is. And you experience the freedom when that control has been surrendered. When you embrace what is, when you love what is by putting your heart into what is, you are experiencing a love for what is, whatever's happening. whether that's cutting the grass or cooking dinner, building a business. Whatever is happening, there's a love for what is. And when you're experiencing this love, you are also experiencing this freedom. This love is freedom. To experience this totality that I'm speaking of, the past and future is surrendered. To be total with whatever is right here, right now, you aren't thinking of a past or a future. You are neither resisting nor seeking. To be total with what is the absence of resistance and seeking. Resistance is seeking, and seeking is resistance. To experience the totality of this moment is to experience your true nature. There's no solidifying anything. There's no identifying with anything. There's no fixating on anything. What I'm speaking of is beyond this witness stage where one identifies as awareness and now is aware of the coming and going of things. This totality has no fixation. There's nothing to stand on. There's nothing solid. It really has nothing to do with what you are experiencing, but more so of how you experience it. Are you experiencing what is partially, or totally? And you see, to experience something totally, there cannot be any resistance. To experience something totally, there cannot be any separation. So in this way, you don't hang back as a witness. You aren't trying to escape life. You're going fully into it, embracing it totally. This totality is experienced as being fully alive. You can't be fully alive without this totality. This totality is a fullness. It's the fullness of life. It's experiencing the intensity, the aliveness of now. To be totally with this moment is to no longer be with the moment. You are this moment. In living totally, there's no you that's in something. You aren't in the moment. You are the moment. You don't have a life. You are life. In totality, there is no separation. Totality is total. It's complete. It's whole. It's undivided. You are the totality.